Greetings, friends, and thank you for joining us here for Season 2, Episodes 1 and 2 for Man in the High Castle. It's here, and it's next.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, and welcome. We're back. It is Season 2, Man in the High Castle. I'm your host, Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter, @Steve Kaufmann. That is KAUFMANN. We're not at full strength tonight, but we will be in future dates. But I'm not alone. Joined by my lovely co-host.
Oh, thank you. Hey guys, my name's Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. And if you are watching this live, we are live in the chat, so feel free to talk with us. And if you're watching this later, comment down below. We want to know what you're thinking about the show. But reminder, we're only doing episode 1 and 2 right now, so no spoilers because we're watching them. 1 and 2, like 2 at a time. That's it. It's really hard to resist.
Oh no, believe me. If I could have watched 3 Thursday night, I would.
Like,
but I understand.
Yes.
So, Season 1 of Man in the High Castle.
Yes. I powered through that one.
The idea of a Trump presidency was a joke to myself. I can't speak for the world, but to me, like, that was a joke.
Yep.
That was him being the Republican nominee wasn't even.
They're like, oh yeah, that's not gonna be a. Oh shit, that's a real thing.
Which is funny because Philip K. Dick, who wrote the novel this is based off of.
Yes.
He wrote this under the guise that we're already heading. America is already headed into a totalitarian system. And for people to see this show as like, oh, we really dodged a bullet there, maybe missing the point, and I think it's a lot more pertinent now.
Oh my goodness, yes. Watching Season 1, I kind of was like, okay, this is really great and cool, I love it. And now going into Season 2, I'm like, this is interesting timing, that's for sure, with social, like, what's going on in the world. But
definitely.
Yes.
I'm pretty good at catching stuff like that, and even Season 1, I'm like, nah, this is complete fiction, and then...
Yeah, and then, guys, we were talking about this right before the show started. I'm like, oh, I studied Japanese in college, and I went to Japan, and so watching this show is really hard because it's like Japanese are kind of painted as the bad guys, but they're not 100%. And that's actually something I love and hate about this show, because even some of the Nazis, I'm like, should hate you, but I kind of like how the show makes them... It's about them as people,
but it makes them human.
Yes.
And it also makes, and it happens a lot in society, where you normalize a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Like, they did this very well, Season 1, Episode 1, where they were close to the no-go zone, and just ash started falling. And some guy casually was like, yeah, burning them up today. Because they were burning undesirables, and that's the ash of those people. But, like, if enough people normalize a thing, we all go.
But I think that's the great thing with this show is it kind of points out of like, you can't just keep taking something for granted or let it become normal. Be like, no, you need to, which that's what our heroes kind of do. They all notice things going, no, this is not what it should be.
Yeah. And it's the device that this show uses and this book used is the films. Yes. Speaking of which
we don't really know what they are yet, right? Not really.
They are somehow... I think we can kind of determine the what, but not the how. They are somehow a glimpse into an alternate reality.
Okay, good. There you go. Yes.
They are somehow a glimpse into the alternate reality that we exist in, or at the time of the book, which was 1965, the reader existed in then, which was an alternate reality, an alternate timeline where the Nazis where the Nazis and the Japanese didn't win the war, which is the timeline we know.
Well, because it makes me think like Sliders or something. Like there's just so many parallel dimensions and possibilities. And now that we've seen the castle in all the films, I'm like, all right, maybe there's just so many options. And then the other one is how the trade minister, when he has his vision of another world, I want to know how he gets that without watching the film. Because he meditated, was transported to another place. I don't remember his meditation, just the...
No, but his meditation had something to do with it.
Because then, he has...
We're left to believe the necklace has a lot to do with it, too.
That, too. But he thinks of those names, and he goes to the library and gets those books and learns about things. But the books exist, so it's one of those, like, how do you not know about it, and how's there no record publicly, but then in a private library you're like, what?
That... Hopefully it gets...
I hope it does.
I hope more gets revealed, but...
Yes.
To get on to Season 2, Episode 1, we start with Juliana Crane, who let him get away with the film. love,
Girl
I think.
in love, right? Yeah.
Kind of.
do
But
stupid
she's
things.
also with Frank, and it's
Well, you know
interestingly
what?
done.
Joe is also with two women as well.
Well, yeah.
Kind of idea. So they both are playing the field. A little
Or
bit.
each other.
Well,
They're both...
they both love more than one person at the same time, but it's different.
It's a different time, and you can't normalize that either.
Well, Joe, it makes sense because it's like Joe and Juliana makes sense because it's a solidarity thing.
Yeah.
The thing they go to together brings them together, and like nobody else can understand that. Like Frank will not be able to understand what she went through, so that's gonna be an issue. But also, they're just definitely drifting. So.
Well, literally, he got on a boat and went away.
Yeah.
So he gets on this boat.
Oh no, Frank and Juliana are drifting.
Oh, sorry, Frank and Juliana are drifting.
Yes.
Psh,
And
things.
Joe too.
And Joe,
literally on a boat.
Joe is literally drifting away
Yes.
on a boat with the film, because if he doesn't come back to New York with the film, he's dead, presumably.
Yeah.
And this grand escape on the boat was interesting.
Yes. Did you think those guys were gonna die on the boat?
I thought they spent a little too much time on it for it to not end like. But I like how they did it, where Joe was literally like, "I'll cut a deal with these people, whatever."
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm getting the film. They get to be like, I'm a humane person. Like, Joe's loyalty is with Juliana. Like, I don't think his loyalty is actually with the Nazi Party at all. I think he just
Not anymore.
Yeah, no.
I think he started, from what I recall. So I watched
Yeah.
season 1 a while ago, but not terribly long ago. But I think he was with them at the beginning-ish. He was definitely not in 100%, but he was in enough. But being with Juliana, I think made him go, hey, there might be another way of life. And so I think he drifted away. Again, drift. There we go. Went away from it. But yeah, the guys on the boat, I kind of was like, as soon as they did the exchange, I'm like, they're going to die.
It's a Nazi, though. Like, he's still but they did it in a way where he
I liked
didn't
how they
screw
did the
them.
bomb, though. Because I was smart. Because I was like, are they going to, like, come and, like...
No, but...
I was curious how they were gonna. It was gonna go down. And I liked how it did in terms of like, oh, that sucks. But I like that Joe was like, WTF to Smith, and was like, ahem. I thought we were gonna make a deal, and he's like, well, they're just, they're illegal criminals.
They're criminals.
Criminals. That's what it was. Yeah.
Criminals is what he said. That we also need to point out. This is a really, really white world.
Yes. And they're
the
all
world of the
brown.
man. Yeah, the Man in the High Castle is the 1965 that we're seeing. Really, really white.
Yeah.
Really, really. So, like...
Well, there's a super quick little line with, what's the kid's name?
That's John Smith's kid, right? Oppenheimer Führer. No.
Joe Blake's, Rita's son.
Oh, yes.
But he's reading the Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer. Wait, it was Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, sorry. Yeah. And he mentions the thing about the black character, and they're like... And his mom had some kind of line, well, we don't need to read about those people. And I like how Joe kind of was like, he gave her a look like, So I think Joe is definitely not indoctrined in that mindset as much as the way Rita is.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Joe is becoming more like aware and not accepting, like, he doesn't have his blinders on anymore. So, yay, Joe.
Although the people I envy in this whole world are the people who have their blinders on.
Why?
Because ignorance is bliss. Like, if you grew up where this was normal, envious is the wrong word, I guess.
Actually, no. It's the kids who have it best because they don't know a time before. Because all the adults know how it was before. They suffered through the war, and now they're like, oh, this sucks. Well, depending on what side you're on. But it's only the children who really have, like, no concept, which... They touched upon Smith's kid at the beginning, and then that's it for him for the episode.
But they did... I think they did that...
1 and 2.
I think they did that to show us a different version of indoctrination.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Mid-60s in America in a public school, there was a level of indoctrination where there was a civics class, you would pledge allegiance to the flag, you would be very uber patriotic and American.
Yeah.
Partially you have to up patriotism to fight what would then have been the Cold War.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I did Pledge of Allegiance all the way through at least 5th grade. I can't remember in middle school. I think we might have done it.
All through high school.
Yeah.
My senior year in high school. My
Yeah.
senior year in high school, I had to be there every morning to read the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh.
That was a big job. That was...
Oh, you were just like the kid. Aw.
Aw.
Creepy. No, I know what you mean.
No, but on the intercom for the whole school.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Don't mess that up.
I did it with a southern accent once. Everyone thought it was hysterical.
Oh, that'd be
I did it in
funny.
Spanish once. It really confused people.
That would be interesting.
But only on like half days or holidays when because if everyone's there, it would be like people would notice and care.
Yeah. No, I bring up Smith's son, which I'm blanking on his name, so sorry guys if we're not remembering names. But
and we don't want to Google it because it's all out there now.
I don't want spoilers, yeah, because it's all been out. I just think it's interesting we had so little of him because at the end of season 1, it was like he has an illness, he has a genetic disease, and his father might have to like put him down essentially. Yeah. And I wanted, like, are we picking back up on that? Because he's the kid, the actor's grown older. But there's no, he seems fine, so I wonder if they'll come back to that. Or
they have to be coming back to him.
They have to.
Like, because he knows something's going to happen, and
there has
Smith is also going through his own crisis.
Yes.
Within there, and then I love that scene with both of them where he was like, "I want to resign." He's like, "You don't get to resign."
Oh yeah, you don't have.
In that face of like, "I don't get to resign. You don't get to. You really don't get to."
Joe and
I just did a great job and had Hitler yell at me.
Right. Yes.
If I don't get to resign and just hang out at my house, you really don't.
Yes. So, do we think? Well, I like his Smith's point that Hitler at this point is physically deteriorating and mentally.
Yep.
Because even he is like being commanded to go find the man in the high castle. I think Smith thinks that's like not as big of a thing, but since he's been ordered to by the Fuhrer, he's like, oh, I gotta do it. But I think that's how he believes that Hitler's mentally deteriorated because of how he's like obsessed with it. Yeah.
And also Hitler, a lot of there's been a lot of studies. There have been a lot of reports that Hitler was deteriorating at the end of the war in our timeline.
I thought I heard that.
Like 45, 46, like he had Parkinson's. They were giving him. They were like just scooping him out with drugs. Actually, the reason D-Day went down exactly how it went down is that he slept till 2 p.m. and nobody wanted to wake up the Fuhrer. Don't quote me on the time, but Hitler was sleeping.
Yeah.
Hitler was sleeping and nobody disturbs. Nobody
you
don't wake a sleeping Hitler.
Wow.
So
actually, wait. Now that we're speaking of big people, we have to talk about the man in the high castle because now we actually see him.
Played by Stephen Root.
Oh, I loved it. It's so good.
Obviously we all know him from Office Space as an actor, but I've seen him do a lot of very good dramatic roles on, to name 2, The Newsroom.
Okay.
And then before that, Boardwalk Empire.
Okay.
Like two very meaty long-term television roles where he got to play a very serious person.
Yeah, because it was one of those, like, I recognized him visually, but then it still took me a minute because he was so kind of different, and I liked that, though, because then I was impressed that he was not quite the same as I recall. But yeah, I liked how they revealed who he was, because Juliana were like, oh shit, she's gonna get shot and die, and her life flashed before her eyes, oh my goodness. And then, no, it's just a tranquilizer, and she meets him and everything. And
were you stunned by that at all? Pun intended. Stunned, I
was. Well, because the life had flashed before our eyes, and the way, how they aimed the bullet, I felt, when they reveal later that it was kind of a tranquilizer, I'm like, oh, that's a little more in here, but I felt the way they were shooting at her was like, her head, that I'm like, you don't shoot a tranquilizer. So I immediately thought, I was like, she's gonna die, and I don't know.
This is strange.
Well, this is only season 2 of a show that I'm like, they could kill a main character.
They have 3 main characters. They could definitely.
They have a few that I'm like, it could.
If we're starting the Man in the High Castle death pool, can I take Frank?
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm
just jumping in first.
I haven't done that before on a show. You've done that on other shows, like who's gonna die?
I've not, but why haven't we? That's a really good idea. To have a death pool on a show.
Be like, who's gonna die? And oh well.
If of the 3, I think Frank.
I was thinking a show I did. I'm like, we should have done that because it's fun and funny how someone died. But technically, they came back. So.
Well, you know.
So I loved it, and the room with all the medals. But the thing is, do we know what it means, and what do you think it means about the footage Juliana sees, and what was it? They gave him a name though. What was it? I'm like, oh, I just heard it. Who would they call him as Man in the High Castle? He had a name, didn't he?
I can't Google it.
It's okay. Well, the guy, the man, and he asks her about the person who died in the footage, who I actually thought that was our trader from season 1 who was working with the trade minister. That guy. I thought it was him, and then it was like, oh, no, it turns out it's some guy your mom slept with. So that was a good reveal. Oh, that was interesting. But I want to know what that means, that the man kept asking her, like, tell me more, we need to find this out, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what does that mean then?
All I can assess from what we know,
Yeah.
seeing episodes 1 and 2, is Juliana and her family and Frank and everything. She is somehow, whatever's off and bridging these universes, it somehow involves her and her family.
Right. Yeah.
So if that guy is her sister's father and that sister joined the resistance, and then she's in a film getting shot by Joe, and Frank is in that film getting shot by Joe, and then also her sister's biological father's getting, like, there's significance to all of that.
Yes.
That she is somehow a linchpin to everything.
Yeah, she's much more important than she ever expected she was. And I want to know, and I think that's, I'm curious how Trudy figured it out, but then again, it's one of those, if you're absolutely nothing like a parent, you might be like, are they really? But I guess maybe some children as kids were kind of like, hey, wait a minute.
Abinson Hawthorne is the name of the man in High Castle.
Yeah, I was like, it was a long name. It wasn't like just a short name.
Abinson. I'll
that is a
pronounce
mouthful of a name. Yeah, guys, if you are watching, chime in. I see a couple people are watching live. What other things are? Yeah, so that I want to know more about what that means. But I do agree. I think there's something very important about it. Who Juliana is and her connection.
And if she's the linchpin, I think anyone around her, including Frank, including Joe, including her family, including her sister who's dead, including her sister's father, has something to do with the how we still don't understand.
Yes.
But that would include, I'll call it a totem for lack of a better word, but that'll include the necklace that Frank made.
Yeah.
That the trade minister now has.
Well,
I don't quite know. Magic would be the word I'd use. That
well,
there's
they did say objects can be imbued with the person who made it.
Yeah.
So they were like, because when he made the buffalo necklace thing, he was like, yeah, this is made by someone who has experienced a lot of sadness. Oh, I love that character.
Yeah.
I love the shop owner.
Oh,
he's so fun to watch.
I was getting worried the shop owner was going to die, and I'm like, no.
I know,
love him. Love him, keep him.
And I just like how he's super, which I guess that would be a way to go too, is the Japanese taking over, and he super gets into Japanese culture.
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, if they're in charge,
although the timeline is such, because it's 1965, so roughly speaking, they didn't really tell us, but roughly speaking, we're left to assume in their timeline, they dropped the Heisenberg device. Yeah. Not an atomic bomb. They're calling it a Heisenberg device. They dropped that on Washington, D.C. sometime after 45.
Okay.
Meaning that they would have won the war by 50. So if somebody's 30, or that shop owner's about 40, he would have been... Okay, that checks out. Never mind.
I'm like, wait, where are you go? Like, just that it hasn't been that long for him to get into it?
No, that he would have been 20, give or take. He would have been 20 at the time of the actual war.
Okay.
Meaning once the war ended, 20 is a lot different than 40 to watch the world change around you.
Yes, but it is one of those things of how we talked about people being ignorant in terms of you can either be a resistance, you can be neutral, or you can fully gung-ho go into it. Yeah. Because he's so into it that the client of his that he meets with, like, insults him in the last episode. Yep. And he's like, you're so stupid that you're into this stuff and you're this white guy. And he's hurt by that because it's a culture that he's come to love and embrace, which, I mean, that's a way to go too. And he owns this shop and he's dealing with, like, he's into it. Like, he's constantly saying the words, he's doing the gestures, he's like 100%, which is a stark contrast to Frank, who's just like meh, 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 meh. Okay, a thing I noticed and totally random, and you guys let me know if you notice and if it bugs you, because I'm like, Okay, whenever they're speaking a full sentence in German, it's translated. When they're speaking a full sentence in Japanese, it's translated. There's a thing. But if it's, and generally most of the German, I think, has always been translated. There's like a subtitle. Yeah. But when they say Japanese, they just say speaking I watch it with the subtitles on.
Oh.
When they speak Japanese, it just says speaking Japanese, and I'm like, they could have put what that word means. And I've learned enough Japanese that I know what some of the short phrases are. And I'm like, why don't you just put what it means? Because if we are those characters, we should know what that means.
Well, because there's the raw file, like there's the raw file you give to Amazon.
No, I know.
That'll have the subtitles on it.
Yes, but they translate the German, they translate the Japanese, like the show does.
Oh, okay.
Not the subtitles.
Yeah, that's what and
But
you're
it's
saying that the
interesting,
subtitle
like,
file
when
doesn't
it's-
do it for you.
No.
Oh.
Okay, well,
I don't.
staying
go
on
for
track.
it.
Okay, within the context of the show, if someone speaks a whole sentence in German, the show itself translates it. Yes. If they speak a whole sentence in Japanese, it translates it. German, if it's a short phrase like hello, goodbye, thanks, generally I think they've translated it. But if it's Japanese, they don't.
Oh, okay. I see what you
And
mean. Then if it's like
yes.
a colloquial phrase.
Yes.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
it's weird they don't. And I mean, I know what they're saying. Like, they're short ones, like, wait, good evening. Like, this last episode, when Juliana Crane goes to the trade minister, she says good evening, but it didn't look that late to me, so then I thought it was weird. So that's what I mean of, like, little things.
That's interesting.
And it's really interesting they do that. And because I understand in a movie or a show, if I'm supposed to associate with a character that doesn't speak that language, absolutely don't subtitle it, because I'm supposed to not know like them.
Yeah.
But most of the time, we're with characters who should know. So I think it's an interesting choice they didn't do that. I don't know if it's a laziness or an active choice.
That doesn't strike me as a creator thing as much as a, like...
I'm just curious, guys. I
Like
don't know. It's
like
the thing that bugs me.
A
That I'm like,
deliverables thing.
wait a minute.
The people who do the captioning did that.
But they should.
I don't know.
It's like one word, like thank you, like because even the Okay, within. I know we're just analyzing this in a video, but within the art dealer, that store shop owner, when he overly thanks someone, it's very obvious in that situation he's saying thank you and stuff like that. But there's other situations where you're like, oh, yume. It'll bring you a lot of yume. I looked it up. I'm like, what is yume? And it's like fame and recognition and like, it wasn't quite honor, but it was recognition. I'm like, yes, I guess I can infer what that means, but it would have been interesting to like say what that was, but I don't know.
That is interesting.
Anyway.
But I guess the idea would be on pure bones how you do captions is if they're saying it in another language and the context, because if if the context isn't telling you, then you have to just leave it. Yeah, it's weird.
I like language, and so that's why I was like, oh, interesting. And because with the Japanese occupied area, essentially, they have very much blended, but I think with the German side, the Nazi side, it's not as actually as like, they don't have like random German words so much. They have German titles, but not so much. But anyway.
Yeah, so.
Random tangent, guys. Thank you.
Exciting.
Actually, I was thinking, I forget if it's when watching two episodes together, they blend.
They do, but that's fine, because we can just follow people through and through.
Exactly.
We'll just talk about Juliana finding asylum.
Yes. Oh man, getting across that line, I'm like, don't get shot in the back.
Which I say this a lot when these things happen. The people who make the trailers are not the same people who make the show. Her seeking asylum was in the trailer.
That sucks that you knew that.
Meaning, which one thing if it was the first episode, like, oh, she seeks asylum. Then you're midway through the second episode and she hasn't sought asylum and the walls are closing in on her, you're like, oh, I kind of wish I could really enjoy what she could or couldn't do. Of like, what can she do? Like, because people like to get, like, obviously the audience likes to guess.
Yeah.
But it would be cool to even understand, because they had laid that groundwork a couple times, that there was an embassy very close.
Yes. I didn't think that was going to be her plan right away, but then again, when she asked her mother, does that man still work there or within that? But he works in New York. And then she does know Joe, so it's an easy name drop.
That was going to be my question of, is she going to drop Joe's name at all?
Well, she did right when she landed, literally on her knees, like, I know Joe. And like, I love the shot of the line. She literally is like, I'm in the territory, I'm safe. But I don't know.
Well, at the embassy. Yeah. She's still in.
Well, technically, embassy's work of like, that is that soil.
No, that's.
Yeah, so. But that neutral zone in between, well, is it a neutral zone?
It's a neutral zone.
Okay.
It's a no man's land.
So I guess they can't shoot you in the back when you're crossing?
Well, crossing through that neutral zone?
Well, because she's crossing the Japanese line into the Berlin line, right?
Oh, you mean, so if she went...
like, right there, the Japanese are like, halt, stop, and they have guns on her. But they didn't shoot her.
Because she stepped foot onto the greater Nazi Reich.
Yeah, but before she got there...
Well, then they should have shot her.
They should have shot her. I was like, man, they're waiting a while.
They made a lawful order. She ignored it. And then by the time they could act, she was in another country.
They might have. Because I was thinking, like, why haven't they shot her yet? And even the Nazi guys were kind of like, whoa, halt, hold up.
Yeah.
And then...
But she made it. Yeah. She made it into the greater Nazi Reich. Yes. And immediately sought asylum. Because of the name drop, they're going to give her asylum.
Oh, yeah.
But then what? What is
I don't know what her plan is next.
It would be Nazi asylum. Like, they're not going to treat her right.
No. But she's white, at least.
There's that. Well, I think she wouldn't have made it if she were any other
This is true. Be like, well.
Well, I mean, she was a woman, and women don't have it great in this world either.
No, they're not exactly the best position. I was going to say, the guys... Okay. Yeah, forgive me for not remembering names, people. I know some people are like, oh my gosh, you don't remember the name? I'm like, okay, well, hold on. Because we only just met them. So, Juliana, but rewinding. So, we have Juliana being taken away from the High Castle and everything, and she's in the trunk. And what is up with the guy wanting to kill her? I know his like, well, she's seen his face, blah, 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 blah. But it's Karen, right? The one in the back? I think it's Karen, because they said her name a few times. The Resistance, and then I don't remember the other gentleman's name, and then there's the one who's like, she knows too much. I don't know. Man, I'd be pissed if I was the other guy, not the one who wanted to kill her, because Karen, I'm like, I do remember her name, but they said her name a few times. She only died because that guy proceeded with, let's not pull off on the road here. And we're gonna start a shootout fight. Mm-hmm. It's all his fault that she died. And you're like, that completely sucks. Totally sucks. She went quick.
I'm all about convenient writing, and it was very convenient writing that she woke up just as he was about to announce his plan. To the rest of the car. Well, I didn't... Because the argument would be...
I don't think Juliana necessarily heard him and was like, oh shit, I gotta get out. I heard his plan. I thought it was more like, I need to get out, but I guess...
No, I think they made a conscious effort for her to wake up as he was saying, no, I'm gonna kill her. Because if she woke up and he didn't say that...
That's true, she might have been
they've been taking her all over town. Like, they don't...
Yeah.
They don't have any reason to think.
That's true.
She wouldn't have had any reason to think that they were going to kill her like right then and there.
Yeah, that's true.
She kind of like destroyed the Resistance a little.
Yeah, she put a big dent, but apparently the Resistance people are not all on the same page of how to proceed.
Usually.
Because they do have different plans on how to do that.
That's the problem when you live in a world where there's like next to no free thought. And then all the free thinkers get together.
I thought you were going to go with communication, and then I'm like, it's like Postman, and he has to connect everybody. Throwback. It's not as horrible. Okay, well, maybe it is. But I remember it fondly as a cheesy, futuristic movie. It's Waterworld on dry land. It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy, they are so intent on getting rid of her, like following her, and I just felt they were making more Gary, yes, because they said his name a million times too. I just think Gary was making more problems for them than they really needed, because it's like, okay, now you've killed a Japanese officer, and they've just gotten attention, and now they have the bullets, and like, if they're trying to keep the Resistance on the down low and not as noticed, Gary's doing a really horrible job. Be like, Gary, man, you're just like letting everybody know. Guess what?
Well, like... Resistances are usually bumbling. Bumbling and poorly done. I haven't seen Rogue One, but I'd imagine... I know, right? We're all like, I'd imagine it's like... I'd imagine it's like that.
Yeah.
It should be. It's a Resistance. It's rebel scum.
There's a loose organization.
Of course.
Yeah. So there was that storyline. Do we want to... Yes.
Do we want to talk about the Trade Minister?
Yeah. I like him.
I like him a lot.
I do.
I like where he fits into this grand scheme.
Yes.
Because he... And I do like that this was a bit of what I thought was an Easter egg that came back was at the very end of season 1, when he goes back to our 1965.
Yes.
There was a news ticker that specifically mentioned Nelson Mandela and the Cuban Missile Crisis. And I remember reading that going like, wow, that's a really cool Easter egg to put us exactly on what day he is. But maybe he didn't notice that. However,
but then he goes,
he
hey,
immediately
look these up.
Look up these people, which, yeah, there would definitely not be a Cuban Missile Crisis in this reality. And then Nelson Mandela,
when they went
Africa would be the Greater Nazi Reich, so it would have been.
Well, at the library though, it was Yeats poetry. There's somebody book by Yeats, and then somebody else that was somebody he mentioned though. I thought when he requested, so I thought that was interesting. Then, like, how did he know about something, and then it was at the library? Because then I'm like, ooh, how do those things coexist, or that happen? Did you take him closing up his prediction sticks as a way to be like, nope, I'm done using them?
I hope not.
You like them? Well, he just had so much care, like, put them away and closed it, and was like, I'm done with them.
But I think part of it is the big plan that he's involved in.
Yes.
He's not. I don't think he's done, but I think he's also like he was just in that boardroom that day where it's like we're
okay.
Yes.
That's what it was. Okay, that was the other thing that I'm like, I want to know quite what his motives are, because his big thing was to get the information, the Japanese, to the Japanese of like how to make that bomb. They now have it, but now he kind of seems like, oh, that might not have been the best idea. Is he maybe more upset about it because now he's seen how the generals reacted to it?
Yeah, I think he...
That was my thought, that maybe he was like, okay, maybe this will be a good idea, things will balance out, and then the general is totally like, destroy everything.
Well, because
so
Japanese, Imperial Japanese culture, there's actually a great line in Pearl Harbor, which otherwise is I guess you could watch it. It's Criterion Collection. It's an alright movie. But there was one where the general who found a way to actually make Pearl Harbor happen, somebody told him like, wow, you're a genius for figuring out to put the wood things on the thing so you can blow up all the other things. Technical terms.
Of course.
And he said in Japanese, no, a genius would have found a way to avoid war. So that I think the trade minister did this because he thought the nuclear deterrent would be a pawn in the power play that is the Greater Nazi Reich.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And then the Imperial Japanese states.
Yes.
And then that no man's zone, and then the power struggle that's going to happen once Hitler dies.
Yeah.
Which everyone's presuming Hitler's going to die.
Oh yeah, I think everybody's on that page.
I think there's also something funny to be said about this is the same Hitler who, in our timeline, was really, really sick. Right, in like 20 years prior to the Hitler we see now, that I think there might be something funny to like, no, Hitler is just going to defy logic. Also, if you really read about Hitler, Hitler actually did defy logic a lot of times. Oh, okay. That he was like, if you wrote a biopic about Hitler, most people like to paint him as like a menacing evil mastermind.
Like Downfall's the only movie I saw some of.
Well, there are a couple, but they all treat him as this evil mastermind when really that movie would read more like Forrest Gump. Like he's just some dude who keeps bumbling his way into more and more power.
Well,
I know. It would be a really dark comedy, and yes, I'm writing it.
No, I was gonna say that's a lot like other people right now.
Yeah.
Do you realize how much you said that? I'm like, oh, that sounds really familiar. Okay. Promise, guys, we won't get too political on the show.
We get two every episode.
Yeah, we get a little bit.
We're done.
Okay. But then again, this show is, it has political commentary that's interesting. They choose to make this show now, and then even when season 2 comes out, it's an interesting choice. Yeah. But yes, trades minister, and then him doing the research at the library, and then I gotta go talk to Tokyo. You have to talk to Tokyo first, and then he's kind of like, oh, you think I'm gonna incite?
Yeah, I'm gonna steal poetry.
Insurrection, I think, or something like that. And the librarian's like, all right, come on. It's like secret drug dealing.
But I do love the autonomy that librarian has. Yeah. Where it's just like, nope, you're good.
He's like, that's all right.
That's fine.
I'm gonna secret lock you in room and stuff like that. And then how he goes to Juliana goes to him, sees the necklace, which that's interesting. That she's like, bloop. I wonder if he picked up that. I don't think he would go to presume it's hers, but she noticed it.
He definitely noticed she noticed it.
And then
we noticed that he noticed that she noticed it.
Yes.
I get jokes sometimes. I got jokes sometimes.
One of those like but then again, he didn't really help her. Did he?
Could he?
No, not really.
I don't think he really knew how in deep she really
No.
was. But even if he did,
Yeah.
he could have done nothing for her.
Probably not.
Like, she could have asked, like, she could have laid it all on the line, and
Yeah.
he would have been like, girl, you should take off your heels and put on shoes so you can run to the embassy.
She actually wears rather sensible clothes
She
most
does.
of the time. How tall? Do we know how tall she is in real life? I'm curious how tall she is. But just because the way they've done her wardrobe
I've
often
interviewed
is
her.
like,
She's about here.
oh, okay.
And also on this channel, AfterBuzz TV, I have interviewed that actress.
Yay!
So I'm 6'1", so if you want to guess at her height based on my height, you can do that.
She looks very tall, and they always put her in like high water, like
Yeah.
capris, and then like even the sleeves, which is I like that style on her. It looks nice. Totally other random side tangent, guys. I do like that as she's doing her adventure stuff, she has her hair in a ponytail, which is functional and still looks nice. Because too many times, action movies, superhero movies, girls have their hair down. I'm like, no, you cannot fight and you cannot run with that in your face. I'm like, you can't see stuff. See, like Tomb Raider had it right. French braid, ponytail, done.
That sounds like a stunt performer letting us in on some stuff. And she's 5'7".
Oh, okay.
Alexa DeValis is 5'7".
Okay, well, she's thin that maybe that makes her look...
or here.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, here. I have mixed feelings. How do you feel about the leader of the Kempetai? Kempetai. There we go. I'm like, said that name all wrong. I feel bad for him actually sometimes, because he kind of like is just trying so hard to do his job, but nothing goes his way.
not at all.
So I almost feel bad for him. You're just like, oh, because he's never actually like personally against anybody. It's just one of those like, he's like, I'm doing my job. And I like the scene where he's at the hostess bar. And that actress for the hostess, I recognize her, but I need to look up who she is, because I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen her before. I like her, like, you need to talk to me because my job is to talk to you, and if people don't see us talking, I'm not doing my job, and I need my job. Which I like that. No, but she had a really great line too, where it's sad that if he's not very present, because then he's not really experiencing life.
That's kind of the whole... That kind of plays into a multiverse theory to begin with. That if, like, well, if you're not present, you're not here, and if you're not here, then you're over there. And then you can... There's a certain quantum physics math behind that statement. That
Do you think that's the reason they put that in there, too?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think there's something...
thought of it that way, but
there's something deep to...
Well, that's the trade minister's meditation.
Yeah,
He is mentally somewhere else, and he essentially traveled somewhere
And a well-told story will never really tell us the how.
No.
They'll just keep giving us more why.
Yeah.
And just the how they can travel through time, and if it's alternate time. Are there two ultimate timelines? Is it a multiverse theory? Can everybody go back?
Actually, that's a good question.
Because he said, the man in the high castle said...
Yeah.
That these are all the possibilities.
I felt like there's a lot.
So that, technically speaking, he's talking about a multiverse.
Yeah.
He's talking about the idea that any decision any one person ever makes creates a completely different universe. Therefore, there are infinite universes. You and I just happen to live in the one.
Yeah.
Where we're here now.
And then that's why they're trying to prevent certain things from happening, because then that creates a new ripple, and then like how they can proceed from there. Back to the leader, Kempetai. There we go. Better?
Kempetai?
Tai.
I'm pretty sure it's Kempetai.
That's the other thing too. Sometimes in the show, it's always weird when it's a show where certain characters say names or things different, and you're like, wait a minute, which one am I supposed to watch?
Well, it's also, speaking as someone with a German last name, my last name in German would be pronounced Kaufmann. But my last name with me has been in America like 5 generations, so it gets pronounced. So phonetics sometimes change geographically with
good point.
And not just accents, but just I'm Kaufman. My grandfather said Kaufman. We're all Kaufman.
There you go. With the Yakuza being part of it as well, and then that whole thing of getting Frank's friend James.
Yeah.
Yes. I was like, wait. Yes. Getting him out of jail. Oh, okay. I think it was.
It was probably. I'm pretty sure it was James.
Man, I'm gonna write them down next time, guys. I promise. Getting him out of jail and using I thought that was excellent planning on Frank, and like I know, guys, we're going a little roundabout and stuff, but that's okay. is like
Ed, you were close.
Ed.
Yeah.
Oh, nope. Yeah, the whole roundabout of like, I'm curious. I just felt that was very intuitive of Frank to know that the lawyer was a lawyer for the Yakuza because the forgery. Because remember, he does the whole like, it's a fake. I made it.
The scene was really interesting for me because I like Frank, who now the majority of the series.
I like proactive Frank.
Yeah, but it took a lot to get to proactive Frank. Like literally, people had to die.
Yes,
but
because Juliana was much more proactive, faster.
Yeah, whereas it took a
her
lot
sister
for
died
him
right away.
Yeah.
Okay, but yes.
But she was always a bit of a free thinker, whereas he literally, people needed to go to the gas chamber.
Head down.
Yeah, head down, just keep going, keep going. Actually, you know what? Screw the Empire.
Yeah. Screw
the Empire. I'm gonna shoot the crown. I'm gonna shoot the Crown Prince. I'm gonna join the Resistance. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm all in now, and I like. But he doesn't suffer fools. He doesn't play games.
To the point. Get it done.
Where he just shows up like you show me your customer list.
Yeah.
We'll go to this one lawyer. I'll tell him that that you sold him a fake, and he'll get me in with the Yakuza, and we'll figure it out. Like,
do you think he knew it was a Yakuza right away, though? I felt he got the lawyer thinking like that lawyer could be, as a lawyer, get his friend out. And then I think it was the line when the lawyers...
There were Yakuza outside. There were Yakuza outside the house. So they walked by two Yakuza to knock on the door. So that's how they knew immediately. They knew at the door that...
I totally didn't realize
that. It's like, oh, a high-powered lawyer, let's go to his house. Oh, we're at his house, there's Yakuza here.
I thought it was more his line, like, my clients are confidential. That's where I was like,
well, that
maybe
too.
it was the 1+1 and we got it, and they're like, yes, okay. But yeah,
they worked it out in the room.
That was a really good bargaining chip of like, yeah, I can help you make anything, but I need my assistant. I'm like, oh, that was good play. So good. And that, at least I like how the Yakuza is like, so yeah, we need that guy back, and yeah, so make it up. You lie about the evidence all the time, and then how convenient they had a body.
That is really, it's like the way the Kempetai is actually working with the Yakuza on like the most prolific crime, probably of most like.
Now I feel horrible for forgetting. Did the Crown Prince die? Or he was just shot?
I think he was just shot at.
Okay, I don't think he died.
Someone will tell us if we're wrong.
Yes. Sorry, guys. That was one of those when I was watching. I'm like, I know he I totally remember he got shot, but I couldn't remember the verdict of if he's died or if it was like one of those maybe not.
But the fact that we're asking means that they didn't follow the Crown Prince of this made-up Japan. It was like, no, we're more worried about how Frank deals with it, how Ed deals with knowing, and how Ed's parents yell at Frank, and like the well-written characters. It's like show that you and I are both like, did he actually die?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he died and got murdered. I think they used the term murder a couple times.
Oh, okay, then yeah, because also the trade minister wanted to call only the Crown Princess.
Yes.
And talk to her, which they had a relationship anyways. Damn. Kind of like, oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we missed anything. I think we're...
So was there anything else? I guess.
No, I think we...
Or any other like things you noticed in the episodes that you were like, oh yeah, that. I think those were all the big things that stood out to me.
I feel like these two episodes acted more as like, let's tie up all the loose ends we had at the beginning of season one. These two episodes really built the sandbox that is season 2.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to say because at the end of season 1, a person traveled to another timeline. And then came back, and he didn't know how. So, like, we'll likely never get the how.
So is this turning into a science fiction show more? I mean, okay, essentially being dystopian in a way. It's kind of science fiction. Well, dystopian for some people.
Well, it's already... It's
not well, it is almost post-apocalyptic.
It's already historical fiction.
Yeah. But then is it going into science fiction if we're having the dimension-changing stuff?
I don't think they're gonna.
Probably not go that far.
I don't think they're gonna prop themselves up like that. I think it'll be.
Okay.
I think it'll be pretty straight up.
Yeah.
And I think the distinction would get very blurry depending on how this season goes. But in my mind, it's gonna remain historical fiction.
Yeah.
It's gonna remain historical fiction unless they tell us the how.
Yes.
The second you get into the how, you're science fiction.
Yes.
Of like, well, we have crystals.
Well,
and
I think already since they've made it a alternate universe, it's not historical fiction.
Minus.
Historically influenced fiction?
No, it's a story. If you change one thing in a timeline and then, like, Hitler's there, like, world leaders are there, they mention...
Oh, I guess it's historical fiction.
It's historical fiction in that way. Okay. It's historical fiction in that way where you get to tell a what-if story.
I still feel it's a little loose, but maybe.
No, but
yeah.
a great creator will create the thing, and then the people who talk about it will just talk about it.
That's true.
Like, I don't know what genre it is, and he's like, I'm gonna go make a show now.
Yeah. So I guess now it's prediction-y time?
Yes.
I feel we can do predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
I know, I'm so excited. I'm like, oh.
What do you got for us?
Yeah, sorry, I was looking. I was like, oh, I had that up. Oh, nope, another thing. Sorry, guys. Oh, man. Well, I think Juliana is definitely going to find her, I guess what would be the direct relation? Because it's your sister's father, because you have the same mom. But yeah, I guess she's going to, I wonder if she'll find him in this next episode or not.
That seems likely.
Yes, because I feel they're going to, that has to be sped up because she's going to say, she already dropped Joe's name, and then they also might be like, well, why are you here? Boom, say that name. I need to find him.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll find him quickly or resolve if he's alive or not. I hope we see more of the Man in High Castle and get more of that and realize that there's more films. Because at first I only thought there was like 10, like a handful.
Well, but then we saw Hitler. We saw Hitler's films. Hitler had a lot of films.
Yeah.
So that we know there's a lot. Now we see the High Castle.
There's gobs.
So many films.
So many. So I was like, oh, okay. So I hope we get more of those. And I want more characters to see them.
Yeah.
Because I like how Juliana points out to people, like, you guys never watched them. You guys don't know what's on these.
Yeah.
So I want more people to see them.
It's amazing. It's amazing the Man in the High Castle can get such loyalty from the Resistance without showing them.
Yes, exactly.
Because if it were me, that would be the one that, like, if it were me,
like,
I would
need to see it. Yeah.
Like, I just don't believe you. I need to see it. Or he has another way to prove it.
Yeah, or like Juliana, like, even though this is secretive, I'm going to watch it anyways.
Yeah.
If I'm going to die for it, I would. So yeah, that's how I'd be like, if I'm going to die for this thing, I need to know what's on it. I realize I also like to do predictions where it's like, this is what I'd like to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for a moment.
Okay. I think Juliana's going to wind up in New York with Joe and Oppenführer.
Smith.
Oppenführer Smith. I think there's Oppen something and then Führer.
I thought it's a lot.
Oppengruber Führer Smith. John Smith is his name. She's going to wind up there because he was just asked by Hitler to get the Man in the High Castle. Ordered by Hitler to get the Man in the High Castle. And she's met him.
Yes. And then also,
she's met him and she can't be,
has dangled Juliana Crane for Joe a lot.
Yeah.
So if she actually is there.
She's there. She's essentially a captive.
Yep.
Seeking asylum, but she's essentially a captive of the Nazi Reich. He's going to use her. Mm-hmm. He's going to use her to string him along, to string Joe back into everything.
Yes.
Multiverse.
Yeah.
Multiverse, we're never going to know the how. That's...
I also want to see a little bit more. We've only seen a little bit, but the thing I liked in this episode, I forgot to mention. I like actually Smith and his wife's relationship.
Yes.
And like what they do, because I feel even though they're so in the Reich, I feel they might actually do something radical in a way because they've noticed when things are off.
So perhaps they're in the right as well. Yeah,
right. Haha. I realized as soon as I said Reich, I'm like that actually sounds like. But yeah. It's interesting because him and his wife seem very almost equal level compared to like other characters where they're definitely like, oh no, you're not the same level as me. And okay, there's a far-fetched prediction that something will happen with them, like they will break away. Maybe when the son's issues come back, they will essentially have to break away from what they know because they have to because she had the thing of like, I couldn't kill my children if like we were being taken over kind of thing. So if she finds out like her son would have to die, though she had a line before when they mentioned his not his illness, but someone's illness, where she kind of was like, oh, well, they should die anyways. But I think it's one of those, if it's your child, she might be like, ooh, back up, hold on. Because that's what he did. Smith was the same way. He's like, it's my kid?
Yeah, completely different if it's your kid.
You're like, oh, yeah, that was a 180. I think that's about it on my predictions.
So if the people want to tweet at you about these 2 episodes, where can they find
spoilers, please?
Where can they find you on Twitter?
Yes, guys, my name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. And please, tweet, but keep it only within episode 1 and 2. Leave comments below on 1 and 2 because we do read these and we want to know what your thoughts and predictions if you've semi-restrained yourself.
And you guys can find me on Twitter almost exclusively. I am at Steve Kaufmann. That is KAUFMANN. Those of you who are into wrestling, speaking of spoilers, wrestling is happening right now. And at 9 p.m. Pacific time where we are, I will be covering WWE Roadblock End of the Line. Yes, 2016 was the year where there were 2 different events called Roadblock that happened. I'll be covering that. And I tweet about all my other shows fairly regularly.
Nice.
Thank you and good night.
Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.